Was that real or mainly for the camera? Oh, this is crazy. I didn't sign up for this. How did it feel stealing the show with your amazing personality and unique work? We had to wear the same thing every single day. Did you really only have 7 days per challenge? Were you able to have your phone while you worked? Hi guys, it's Melissa Herriott. Thank you so much for coming back to my YouTube channel. Today we're talking about Renovation Resort Showdown. You've got questions? I've got answers, baby. So the first question, how did the show come to be? My friend, who ultimately ended up being my partner on the show, Shannon, follows one of the hosts, I think, on Instagram and saw an open casting call for a new show they were doing throughout all of the United States and all of Canada. And she sent me a text message and she was like, hypothetically speaking, would you want to try out for the show with me? Come to find out, you apply as a builder and a designer, so a duo. You apply as a pair. We threw our name in the hat, which at the time really just meant filling out this like essay style questionnaire. There were like, I don't know, 15, 20 questions maybe, and I started to fill mine out at 1 o'clock in the morning because I'm not a great sleeper. I say that to say that I was like alone in my home. It was very quiet. I was, in my zone, very much in my thoughts and my feels. I just filled it out with a lot of honesty and vulnerability, almost feeling like this isn't going to go anywhere. No one's ever going to read it anyway. I might as well go all in. Shannon did the same. We were asked from the written essay to then submit a video introducing ourselves so they could see our dynamic together. And then it just kind of snowballed. Hey, are you available for a Zoom call? Hey, can you send me photos of you guys as kids or on the job site? What's your Instagram handle? What are your websites? So we knew they were doing their homework on us, and that's kind of how it happened. It was the craziest thing. I never expected it. I absolutely positively put my name in the proverbial hat thinking nothing would ever come of it, and it did. Another question. On the show, we are given a week per challenge. So the question is, did you really only have 7 days per challenge? Yes. Not even, because, and I had never done anything like this, so I was like, okay, a week. Yeah, I mean, that's a really tight deadline, but like, we can do it. We can work morning, noon, and night. No, honey, you're there to make a TV show. So you might be right in the middle of something like, I don't know, painting, and have to stop and be pulled to go do something else. So yes, it was a week. Yes, it was really tight deadlines. And I felt like the timelines were even tighter in real life because we got pulled away from stuff. So that's real. And the 3, 2, 1, like tools down. Very, very, very real. That was not for TV. I would be in the middle of like deciding if I want something here or here, and it was here when they shouted over the megaphone, and that's where it stayed. Hands off. Sounds of the city. Did you have to do many retakes, like specific acting moments? Yes and no. So it wasn't a scripted show. So everything you hear us saying, for the most part, everything you see us doing is just naturally what we were saying and doing. The only time we really had to do retakes was when we had group shots. So during the judging, they would give us a challenge and we would run off. We might have to stop. We need to do that again because the camera's on the ground, got it, but now we need to do it again for the drone footage. Or maybe somebody slipped. Maybe somebody like lost their footing on a pile of rocks. Retake. There wasn't acting as in stop, change what you said, say it differently, do it for the cameras. There wasn't any of that. But there was a lot of like, we need additional footage of this. Perhaps we had already started painting a wall and moved on to something else. They'd be like, hey, go back to paint that wall again. So stuff like that. Did I ever trip? Oh, probably. I don't remember, so it must not have been traumatic. Like I didn't fall, but I wear a size 10 shoe. We had to wear steel toe work boots and it was hot. It was like the hottest summer in like recorded history. I don't think I'm exaggerating. I guarantee I tripped. I trip when I'm just like walking in general. I guarantee I tripped. Did all of the contestants stay together somewhere? And second part of the question is, did you guys talk about design plan? Did we stay together? Yes, we all stayed in the same hotel. As a matter of fact, I think we were all on 2 floors. We had to ride into work together. We were about 15 minutes away from the job site and we came home together. And there was no like, oh, hey, we're running behind today, so we're gonna stay late. Like we started at the same time, we ended at the same time. We got to work on the same mode of transportation. I get really car sick. I usually sat in the front of this big like passenger van, which gave me a lot of like DJ privileges. So we would ride into work together in the morning and I would DJ. I take requests on the way home too. So that was one of my fondest memories actually, was being with the crew in the hotel and driving into work every morning and back to the hotel at night. If we talked about design plans, and I can say in all honesty, we talked about everything else under the sun, but we were all really committed to kind of honoring the show and doing it the right way. So we weren't supposed to talk about design plans, and we didn't. We didn't talk about our individual homes. So it's the last episode and you watch us going through the other team's homes. And at that point, we're all like truly friends. We're lighting up. We're surprised. Oh my gosh, that's what they meant at judging when they said you nailed it on that accent ceiling. It was all a surprise to us at the end because no, we didn't talk about design plans. We didn't share any of our secrets. How far in advance did you have to place orders? Everything happened fast there. Everything happened so fast. In real life, maybe I get a set of curtains and they looked a certain color on my web browser and I get them and they're not the same color. Well, in real life, I would just send them back. And in this time frame, it's like, hey, you buy it, you use it, baby. The timelines were real. They were intense. Everything was fast. We could not order anything that took a long time to arrive. There was no like custom creating of things outside of what we could build. So the timelines were real. Next question. This was actually asked like 3 or 4 times. And it's like, this person asks, what was up with the same outfits every time? Was it simply to quickly identify the teams? So what was up with us wearing the same clothes every single day? We had to wear the same thing every single day and try to the best of our ability to get our hair the same and our makeup the same and the accessories the same. So the editors could easily kind of chop up and edit the footage. So what I mean by that, or how it was explained to me, is let's say 4 weeks in, they realize they need footage of something from week 1. We can quickly redo a running scene from week 1. They don't have to worry about what we're wearing and all of that. Does that make sense? It's for editing purposes, really. And honestly, I love getting dressed, but it was so nice. I kind of felt a little bit like a mass murderer though. So in the hotel, when you opened up my closet, which was in the kitchen, I don't know why I kept my clothes in the kitchen closet, but I did. It's probably supposed to be a pantry. I had like all of these identical black jumpsuits lined up on hangers. And then above it, I had huge bottles of spring water. And it made me feel like a societal outcast. But on top of that, we didn't have a ton of days off. On your days off, you have to get groceries, do laundry, like all the things. So I made sure that all my undergarments, my tank tops, my socks, everything else I wore was also black. So I never had to do a load of whites and a load of darks because it cost like $4 every time we were going to wash and then $4 to dry. So anytime you wanted to do a load of laundry, it was $8. So all my clothes were dark. And I also get asked about makeup. So the question I get asked over and over is, girl, what was that lipstick you were wearing? Because it never moved. And the lipstick I started with, like episode 1, it was really intense and really dark, so it kind of changed a little bit. It's a lip stain by Fenty, and I don't know the exact color, but there are only so many. There's only like 4 or 6 of them, and it's like their dark pink one. That's the one I wore on the show. I swear this is a real question. I didn't make this up. How did it feel stealing the show with your amazing personality and unique work? It's a real question, but it's also from my brother-in-law, who's clearly very biased because he's like my best bud. Well, Dean, it felt amazing stealing the show with my incredible personality and all of our unique work. Thank you so much for asking. Longtime listener, first-time caller. Was it hard to adjust to cameras being everywhere all of the time? No, oddly enough. I was kind of freaking out about that beforehand, thinking that I would just be awkward. Like, what angle are you getting at me at? And what did I say? Oh my God, I'm wearing a jumpsuit. Don't get me from behind. Like, that's disgusting. I don't want my long butt on TV, But they were just everywhere. We were all mic'd up every single morning and it was taken off every single night, all day, every day. You had a live mic on you. Mine was usually attached to my ankle, like an ankle monitor, and the cord went all the way up to attach on my tank top. And so not only were there cameras in your face everywhere, every single thing you said could be heard by people in production. And as crazy as that sounds, it took about 1 whole day for us to get used to it. I did realize though, because I'm a bit of a human jukebox, certain words that people say or phrases that people say, immediately I go into song. And I also think I'm a rap artist. So if I sung into my tank top, right, where the mic was, something that was copywritten music, they could not use the footage. I remember one time I was like pinned up against the wall, like trying to hold furniture. It was really heavy, it was slipping, and it was hot, and I was like, ah! And I was like, I don't want them to use this. So I started wrapping Drake into my bosom because I was like, can't use it now, can ya? We had the best cameraman and the best director in our house, so it was kind of a running joke that like, Melissa, please don't do it. Don't start rapping. Don't start singing. You know we can't use the footage. They weren't mad at all. And honestly, if they really needed me to tone it down, I begrudgingly would. But I did like to mess with them a little bit. Little things like I would just bust out in Disney songs, start singing The Little Mermaid. I don't know. And they're like, Melissa, please stop. Or cursing. They obviously couldn't use cursing. So like I was like, started from the bottom, now we're here. Started from the bottom, now my whole team here. Started from the bottom now. And they'd be like, or one day they were interviewing us about something that had happened. One of the cameramen is an Outkast fan and recognized that I wasn't even singing it. I said Outkast lyrics, and he goes, cut! And he didn't really say much. He goes, cut, Melissa's doing it again. If you don't want footage being used, sing copywritten music over the top of it. How did it feel being away from home for so long? That was harder than I anticipated. It was quite a while. The show follows us over 8 weeks, and we were there a little bit on the front end, maybe a little bit on the back end. To get up every single day and put the same thing on and commute with the same people, going to the same place to work in an environment that is unlike anything any of us have ever experienced, with timelines that are so intense and so unrealistic, to be judged for work that maybe you love and maybe you wish you could do differently. It was very hard to go through all of that and then not be able to go home at the end of those days. At least for me. Some of our other friends, they were there with their spouses, so they had each other, which is his own set of problems, right? For me, I would go home to a hotel room by myself. Some days I would be so tired, I couldn't even talk to my husband on the phone. I would just text him and be like, I can't chat tonight, I love you. It was very isolating. It made the good days weird because there wasn't anybody you could share them with when you got home. And it made the hard days really, really hard because you're just stuck in your head. I learned a lot about myself. It was a cool thing for my marriage, honestly, if I'm gonna get real deep. In my marriage, I would say 90% of the time, I'm the person that can see the bright side of things. And I will be kind of positive Polly. During this experience, I was very hard on myself. I was very alone. I think Shannon felt the same way. I think everybody felt the same way. And I needed my husband in a way I'm not used to needing him. So instead of being the one who picks people up, I was the one who needed to be picked up. And that was a really humbling experience for me. I learned a lot. I learned a lot about myself. How was the food? How was the food? Okay. For breakfast, you could either eat in your room whenever you got at the grocery store. But most of us were like, oh, there's a hotel breakfast downstairs for $0. I'll meet you down there. So we would have hotel breakfast for the most part. Lunch was brought in by this catering company, and they were incredible. Like, I came home and I was like, what do you mean I don't have dessert for lunch every day? I think I packed on like 15 pounds doing the show, bro. No kidding. Because as much as we were running and we ran a lot and worked a lot and it was hot, we ate like royalty. And I'm talking like heavy, big meals, like salad starters, main course, and dessert every single day for lunch. And at night, if we worked late, they would order us food. So yeah, I've got nothing bad to say about the food, except I should have pumped the brakes a little bit, but I only know one speed, honey, and that's full blast. So I enjoyed every morsel. So 2 questions that I feel like are similar in nature. 1, what's your greatest takeaway from doing the show? And then 2, what's a valuable lesson you learned and would like to pass on to those around me in the future? My greatest takeaway and a valuable lesson, I think, are, maybe it's the same answer. I could do hard things. Like, I can do hard things. And what I mean by that is I realized how much in my normal day-to-day life I am not pushed out of my comfort zone. I create my zone. I decide who to hire. I decide what clients I take on. I decide largely the hours that we work. I'm kind of the master of my own ship, right? And that's beautiful. But in this situation, the show, I had to do so many hard things. I was away from my husband. I was away from my dog. I was away from my bed. I was away from my home, my friends, my family. I didn't control the hours I worked. I didn't control what I wore. I didn't control if something came in and it wasn't right. That's that. I had so little control, and the timelines were so incredibly tight. It was just so unrealistic. I felt so uncomfortable a lot. Oh, and obviously it's a challenge show, so you're subjected to a ton of feedback, good, bad, and ugly. You have to stand there literally and hear all about yourself from people who they don't know you. They maybe know the in and outs of what happened behind the scenes. Maybe they don't. That was tough. So the entire experience was so incredible and so fulfilling and so wild, but it was so much more difficult than I thought. At the end of it, as I look back on it and take it all in and have a little bit of space, right? Because I've been home for a while now. It made me realize, like, I can do hard things. I'll be okay. If somebody likes what I do, amazing. If they don't like what I do, amazing. So it kind of like thickened my skin a little bit. And I think that will benefit me for the rest of my life, because you only have two choices. You do things and you get judged for them, or your second choice, don't do anything. Don't do anything, don't say anything, don't put anything out there. And I now understand more clearly and see more clearly than I did before this show that if I want to be a person of action, then I am going to have to also do hard things. A major takeaway for me is that just because it's scary doesn't mean it should be a no. I said yes to this thinking nothing would come of it, and then it was clear something was coming of it. I got terrified, and then I got there and it was so much harder than I could have ever anticipated, and I was alone and I was judged and things were, it was all the things. I think maybe we have a tendency, I know I did, to feel like, oh, if something doesn't feel good, then maybe it's my spidey sense telling me not to lean into it. It's somehow protecting us. What I realized is I think a lot of times that little voice is trying to protect our ego, and really everything worthwhile is kind of on the other side of doing it. If nothing else, it just reinforced, like, do the thing that scares you, because it's probably going to be like the best. Ding, 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 ding. So what was it like working with my friend Shannon 24/7? I think honestly, we probably had it the easiest. I mean, think of all the other the other teams, right? They were either married or they were father and daughter. Like that, I'd be like, oh, how are we not killing each other? So to go there with your buddy essentially made it a little bit easier. Now, we were kind of marketed as like best friends, and really we were friendly acquaintances. We do not work together day to day, day in and day out. And I say that to say we didn't have a rhythm built up. We didn't have years of effortless communication. We couldn't yet, when we started, speak without speaking, communicate with a glance, understand what the other one was thinking, right? And I thought maybe that was going to put us at some sort of disadvantage. But what I think it did was allow us to act with grace in very intense, high pressure situations. So I think that it enabled us to be our best selves, because we wanted to do well for ourselves. We wanted to be kind and gracious to the other person. All the positivity you saw, all of the picking each other up, lifting each other up, literally and figuratively sometimes, all of that was real. Shannon is the most positive. She will remind you who you are when you forget. I tried to do the same for her. She's a real light. I was lucky to have her. But because we did not know each other really well, we had very intense, very deep, very important conversations fast. There was no like letting something fester and hoping that like, oh, we'll just talk about it later. Like anything that came up, we had to tackle and move on, tackle and move on. And that built a very deep friendship in like record time. It was great working with Shannon, honestly. Were you able to have your phone while you worked? No, honey. It was actually, well, we called it phone jail. And it was the showrunner came around with a basket every single morning and brought it back around every single night. And we would have to drop our phones in the basket. We did not have access to them at all during the day unless it was lunchtime. So we had them in the morning, of course, on our way to work. We had them at lunchtime where we were just kind of hanging out. We weren't allowed to work most days on the house during lunch. We had to kind of have that mandatory break. And then they were taken away again and given to us after work. That was crazy too. Like, you do not realize how many times a day, or at least I didn't realize how many times a day you pick up your phone and look at it. I also realized very quickly how freeing it was not to have it. The world does not end because I do not answer a text message within 10 minutes. The world does not end if I have to call somebody back. Instagram, for example, social media is more fun when you look and maybe there's a few notifications all at once and you can engage with those versus like every single second on it. Not having my phone was actually ended up being it was uncomfortable, but it ended up being a real gift. Did you guys all get along and did you hang out with each other off camera? Yes. I think I mentioned before it took us about 5 minutes to become friends, but if we had a night off where we didn't have to work the next day, we all hung out at the hotel together. On our rare day off, we would go to vineyards together. We would have breakfast together, lunch together, dinner together. We would have drinks on the patio of our hotel together. We would share meals together. We hung out a lot. All the time. I probably missed that the most when I came home. In real life, you don't fall in love with people normally in 8 weeks. In this life, where you're sharing an experience that is so different than anything else you have ever experienced, and you are taken to your most vulnerable, your most uncomfortable, your most stressed out, there's only 7 other people that know exactly what that felt like. And those 7 other people, it sounds cheesy, but they've become my family. We still have a group text that we're on all the time. Yesterday was Graham's birthday. He turned 60. We all sent videos in for Holly to show him on his birthday. So yeah, we're really tight. That's real. So on the episodes where you were frustrated by something, was that real or mainly for the camera? Honey, that was all real. Episode 1 coming hot out the gate. I was so frustrated. The material that we had for our headboard, it was supposed to be installed in this alternating pattern. We unbox it and it's not meant to be installed in an alternating pattern. I was like, oh my God, this is just the beginning and I'm failing. I was so frustrated. Episode 2, which was the front room. Whoo, that was so much work and so little time. I was decorating on wet paint. Yes, placing decor over a bookshelf and asking Shannon to hold it at a hover because once I put it on there, I knew it was gonna have to stay there. So yeah, that was crazy. Episode 3 was the living room. The curtains didn't come in the exact color I was hoping for. There was a lot of frustration. All of it was real. But all of the wins and all of the celebrations and all of the fun and all of the dancing and all of the, jokes, all of that was real too. So none of that was for the camera. If I had to choose my favorite room, I think I would choose our kitchen. I loved our kitchen. These really dark green cabinets with this brass hardware and these beautiful pendant lights. It was so different than every other kitchen that my friends made. It was just it was sexy. I just thought it was really unique. I loved our kitchen. I liked a lot of spaces in the house, but I really loved our kitchen. Not that I spend a lot of time in the kitchen because I don't, but it's beautiful to look at, honey. 10 out of 10 would eat charcuterie around that kitchen island. Who is your favorite guest judge and why? Okay, the guest judges I geeked out about the most were actually episode 1. So Scott and Brian's wives, they were so kind. They were so beautiful. It was all new to us. It was the first time we were being judged. I was just a little bit starstruck by them. That was wonderful. But I would say if I had to choose a favorite judge, I think people who watch the show will be surprised to hear me say this. It was for episode 6. His name is Caffrey, and it was our rec room. When you watch the show, Caffrey was not kind to us. He had a lot to say that wasn't the most positive. When you watch the show, that's what it looks like. The judging actually took sometimes over an hour for all of us to get our feedback. In that real-time moment, he said so many kind, positive, encouraging, inspiring words specifically about our home. It's all edited and cut for TV, of course. But I was a little shocked when I saw it. episode 6, like, oh, he was so nice to us in real life and he's so mean to us on the edit. So anyway, but I would say he's probably still my favorite guest judge because I know what he said, no matter how they made it look on TV. Why did you wear a fanny pack every day on the show? I wear a fanny pack every day on the show because I wear a fanny pack every single day when I work in real life. My fanny pack is like my tool belt. It keeps all the things in it. Like in real life, it usually has my phone, maybe a tape measure. It always has a pair of box cutters. It's got everything I need right there. Well, when they were talking to us about what we were gonna wear, Shannon was gonna wear the pink jumpsuit. I would rather wear black, but they wanted us to tie together somehow, so that left me with a pink fanny pack. Fun fact, my least favorite combination, color combination in life is black and hot pink. What did I wear on the show every single day? Black and hot pink. I wore that because it's a very functional piece for me and it's a nod to, you know, like how I am in real life, and the pink tied in Shannon's jumpsuit. I have also come to find out that there are a lot of people who have very strong feelings about it. People on the interwebs hated the fanny pack. I didn't think it would be that polarizing of an issue, but you know, here we are. Last question. I got this one quite a bit. If given the chance, would you do it again? Yes. There were plenty of times while I was there, if you asked me on the spot, I'd be like, no, this is crazy. I didn't sign up for this. 100% yes. I am a better designer for it. I am a better partner for it. I am a better leader for it. I had a lot of fun. I would 100% do it again. Now, if I ever had another opportunity to do TV, I might be like, hey, any chance I could wear something different on a day-to-day basis? But if they'd let me wear like maybe not black with a pink fanny pack, then I would do it. If I didn't have to wear black and pink, I would do it. All right, that's it. Thank you so much for engaging with me. Thank you for asking all the questions. Most importantly though, thank you for all of the kindness. Thank you for the support. Thank you for the likes and the encouraging words and the DMs and the text messages and the voice memos and for sharing posts. Like all of it made the experience so beautiful. When you're in the middle of it, it's really hard, but when you get to share it with people who are supportive and kind and fun, it's just really awesome. So thank you so much for that. It really means a lot. That's it. Thank you for watching this video. I'll see you at the next one.